Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rucha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is When Esau's World Ends, Our World Begins. This is a title. If I didn't say it already, Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rucha Kodash. This is the title that the Elder Apostle Torah threw out. I think that was a video he did yesterday. And I was gonna do something on it, but I never got around to it. So the brother from Des Moines, which we call Pops from Des Moines, he did the lesson right here. I was watching some of it earlier. When Esau's world ends, our world begins. And I just wanted to say a few words on it. Like I said, I didn't finish watching the whole video that the brother did, so I'm not sure everything he said, but I'm pretty sure, he probably went through some of the same precepts I'm going to go through that came to my mind, but nevertheless, we know that at the end of the day, we're at the end of this man's system. All the signs are there, and what's heavy is that the apostles, when they were disciples, they asked Yahushua that, because at the end of the day is, when is the Messiah coming? Right, back then, to suffer what the scripture said he would suffer, so that we could receive the kingdom of heaven. That was a sentiment, and that's why the apostle Peter and them were asking that question. And even when Yahushua was resurrected, they even asked him, "Will thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel?" Because they know that once the Lord went through what he went through and returned, that he would give us the kingdom of heaven. But the thing is that back then it wasn't time. Matthew 24:3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, "Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" And when you look up this word world, it goes into the word age, or eon, which is an age, which is a period of time, an uninterrupted rule. You have different ages, different time periods. The age of an empire, according to estimations that have been put together, is about 250 years. America is almost at its 249th year, this so-called July 4th. So by the following year would be its 250th year. And everyone is seeing the decline of this system. And this system must go because it is corrupt in order for the kingdom of heaven to be established. Oh, by the way, I linked this video in the description box, so brothers can go and check it out. Support the brother. He only has 3 thumbs up and only 18 views 8 hours ago. So few of the brothers from the Des Moines camp use this page here. I know one other brother in particular, the elder of the camp, Mathathia. So let's go here to 2nd Ezra 4 and 28. It says, "But as concerning the things whereof thou askest me, I will tell thee. For the evil is sown, but the destruction is not yet come." Why? Because the evil, we see the evil that's sown out here through the wicked, evil things that Esau has done and setting up the system. There was a precept that the evil of this society, the things that Esau has put into place, his laws, his policies, his religions, his beliefs that he has, upon these people out here. So like, I'm just trying to look for this one particular scripture, and this is how the world was already wicked, but when Esau took control of the world, it became super wicked. It's under a super demonic vibration nowadays. All right, I believe I got it now. And we're going to go back and read that again, but I'm just trying to find this one precept, so just bear with me. Salakia. Okay. Just bear with me. Thought it was Isaiah 10. There we go. It's Isaiah 26. All right, so let's read this again and come back. It says, but this is 2nd Ezra 4:28. But as concerning the things whereof thou askest me, I will tell thee. For the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. Right. So this world is evil. It's wicked. And the only way you won't agree that this world is evil or wicked is if you're evil and wicked, and you enjoy the current setup that's here, and living under the landlords of this world, which are the Edomites, which are the wicked. So when we go to Isaiah 26:18, it says, we have been with child, that's dealing with the nation of Israel. We have been in pain. We have, as it were, brought forth wind, right? Because we haven't been delivered. Jeremiah said, the summer is past, the harvest is ended, and we are not saved, So we're still in this corrupt cesspool of a kingdom known as America, or scripturally known as Babylon the Great, right? It says we have not wrought any deliverance in the earth, right? Because we're still under the curses. We're still catching hell. We're still, being demonized. Just all manner of wicked stuff going on. And look at Jake. Jake out here in the world, they are not exhibiting the traits of the people of the Most High, living in these, not just so much as a horrible, deplorable conditions, because that's biblical, that's the curses, but living in the mind state that they're in, which is also biblical, but in that beastly mind state that they're in, that degenerated mind state that they're in, they're not exhibiting the traits of the people of the Most High. Why? Because the wicked are in rulership. And the scriptures say, let's go to one real quick and come back. Proverbs chapter 12, I believe that's verse 26. Yep, Proverbs 12:26. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor. See, just dealing with the Israelites. But the way of the wicked seduceth them. And that's why Jake is in the mindset that they're in, because Esau pretty much put that bottle to him. He set up a blueprint. He paid these rappers, movie stars or whatever the case may be, to put a certain image out there for Jake to follow behind. And look at the degeneracy that you see today. It says, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. So this present world, which is evil, which Yahushua said that, is that Galatians? Has not fallen. It's become progressively worse and worse, every day pretty much. Galatians 1:4, who gave himself for our sins, meaning Yahushua, that he might deliver us from this present evil world, according to the will of the Most High and our Father, to whom be glory forever and ever, so be true. So this is a presently evil world. So this was 2,000 years ago. So how much more now in these times that we're living in. Let's go from there to 1 John 5:19. And we know that we are of the Most High, and the whole world lieth in wickedness. So this world is lying in wickedness. So as it's stated here in 2 Ezra 4:28, but as concerning the things whereof thou askest me, I will tell thee. For the evil is sown, but the destruction is not yet come. Because the destruction is what's going to be the great equalizer of everything. And presently we're living in Esau's world. So Esau's world has to be totally demolished and taken out before our, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai's kingdom, which we would be joint heirs with him, would be brought on the earth. But this present evil world has to go first. This is 2 Ezra 6:9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So the one that follows is more righteous than the one that is currently here. And this one that's here, they've been in power for so long, Salaki, that they never think they're going down. It says back in 2 Ezra 4:29, if therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down. Why? Because right now, at present, this society, this empire that's established, is established under backwards principles. They claim to, follow what the scriptures say, but they don't do what the scriptures say. They do the total opposite. Psalms 82:5, they know not, neither will they understand, because Esau is not going to understand. They're not going to know judgment. They're not going to know righteousness, because that's not what was given to them. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. Why are the foundations of the earth out of course? Because the people that are running it, are the wicked. And the wicked are going to do wicked things. May you do good that are accustomed to doing evil. So you're not going to do good, even if it's shown to you. What did the Lord say to Cain? If thou doest well, thou doest good, or something along those lines. But if not, he lieth at the door, evil lieth at the door. I'm just merely paraphrasing. And unto thee shall be his desire. Matter of fact, let me get that right quick, so we could break it down, because I can't really remember it's been a minute since I went here anyway. Right. Genesis 4, I start at 6. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? Right. So if you did the right thing, you would have been accepted. But you can't do the right thing because you are the wicked. So now, this same spirit that was in Cain and his descendants was transferred over to the Edomites, because the Edomites in the reincarnation are the sons and daughters of Cain. Because everyone at the beginning, except for 8 souls, was destroyed by the flood. So when the earth was repopulated, the wicked came again through the seed of Esau. And we believe that Esau is Cain. It only makes sense because Cain was known as the wicked. So is Esau known as the wicked. Cain killed his brother. He hated his brother. So did Esau. Esau hated his brother Jacob, and he wanted to kill him. All right. So it says, if thou doest well, shall not thou be accepted? And if thou doest well, if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. So your whole mindset, your whole spirit is just about doing wicked. The scriptures say you can't sleep unless you do some type of wickedness. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Meaning you shall rule over Satan, but that's not the case. Satan rules over you, Esau, because Satan is your daddy. All right. So let's go back. Isaiah 24:5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. And it's not like they don't know, because they have the Bible. They know exactly what to do, but they're just not going to do it because they are the wicked. And this world has to continuously, progressively get more and more wicked before the Lord can judge it. And that's the point that we're at. So 2 Ezra 4:29, if therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that is sown with good. Right. So if this place doesn't go down, this wicked empire doesn't go down, then guess what? The kingdom cannot be established. All right. Now, the scriptures speak about a new heaven and a new earth, which Lord's will will get that. Now, is it going to be an actual, is the Lord going to, when he brings a destruction, like Vocab teaches and others, that the Lord's just going to destroy the whole earth and make it just explode, and then that's it, just start all over again? Well, let's find out. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. It's for you newer members. Chapter 1, verse 4. One generation passeth away, it's talking about people, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. So the earth will always be here. So now what does it mean by new heavens and a new earth? Meaning something that's going to be refreshed under a new authority. That's why we read back in 2 Ezra 4:29, if therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that is sown with good. And that's what we're waiting for. And that's why we're constantly watching what's going on. You have brothers that all they do is just do videos on news, just news articles, news clippings, different news program. I mean, us all, pretty much that's their main goal of focus is just bringing out a lot of current events that are happening in the news, because they're just constantly watching the news, and that's a part of being vigilant. That's a part of measuring the time. When you see something like that, reporting on it. So a brother may go over it, but hey, if the spirit is on you, you go over it too. Because not everybody's going to watch his video, and not everybody's going to watch your video. But some people that may not watch his video will watch yours and get the same information. There is always room for the same lesson over and over and over again. Because you have to remember, there's people out there, there's Israelites out there that haven't heard this message. And they might stumble across your particular video and learn, and then be converted from that point. So it says, for the grain of evil seed have been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning. So from all the way back then, evil started to multiply in the earth. You had Cain, you had Abel. Cain became the first murderer on the planet. And that just set the tone. After Eve did what she did and gave to Adam, and they both committed sin, then evil just started to multiply from back then. Just constantly growing. Now, what we're reading here took place during the time of Ezra, the prophet Ezra, the priest prophet Ezra. And he was around roughly 400, 500 BC, depending on the calculation or the estimation. So just imagine, that was roughly about 2,500 years ago or so. And the world back then was super wicked. How much more wicked do you think it is now? And when the world got really, really wicked, what did the Lord do? He destroyed it by a flood. And this time, this particular world is reserved unto fire, destruction of fire. So it says, for the grain of evil seed has been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning, and how much ungodliness has it brought up unto this time? What time? About 2,500 years ago or so, during the time of Ezra, when he was seeing this vision. And how much shall it yet bring forth unto the time of what? Threshing come. When is the time of threshing? Well, we're fast approaching the time of threshing. And the time of threshing, there would be signs that would be, visible out here to let us know that we're in the time of the very end. And at the time of the very end, the very people that would be ruling, the nation that would be ruling, would be the Edomites. So when we look at the world scene today, and we look at who's in charge of running the world, who's in charge of running the world? So-called white people. So according to prophecy, the Edomites would be ruling in the last days. Because when Yahweh Shai comes back, the very person or peoples that he's going to visit are the Edomites. They're going to be the ones in charge. They're going to be the head honcho. They're the landlords of the earth right now. That's why the majority of the world is following what? Their lead, following their policies. Even though now they're bucking up against them, but because they already got what they needed out of them. But for the most part, everybody was following this place, and they still will till the Lord comes back. If they want to sell their wares here in America, and you best believe that they're going to figure out a way to do it. Because at the end, the scriptures say that all of these nations are going to wail. They're going to be, heartbroken because they're not going to be able to make any more money. Not because the place is destroyed. The reason why they're going to mourn because it's destroyed is because this is their cash cow. This is their money maker. So it says, ponder now by thyself how great fruit of wickedness the grain of evil seed has brought forth, meaning all the way back then, 24, 25, 2600 years ago. And when the ears shall be cut down, which are without number, it means at the harvest, at the end of the world, how great a floor shall they fill? And this can go hand in hand with the book of Revelation, the 14th chapter. Speaks about the great wine press. And the great wine press is going to be filled with grapes, Edomites, nations, Israelites, of the 2/3 here in America. And then once that floor is filled and finished, then the Lord's going to start the stomping. It says, then I answered and said, how and when shall these things come to pass? Wherefore are our years few and evil? And he answered me, saying, do not thou hasten above the Most Highest, for thy haste is in vain to be above him, for thou hast much exceeded. Did not the souls also of the righteous ask questions of these things in their chambers, saying, Shalakim, how long shall I hope on this fashion? When cometh the fruit of the floor of our reward? Because this is what we're waiting for the end, for the Lord to reward us. And unto these things Uriel the archangel gave them answer and said, even when the number of seeds is filled in you, because there's a certain amount of prophets and elect out there that has to be sealed with this word, before the end can come. That's why Yahweh Shah said that this word, the gospel should be preached to all the world, and then shall the end come. And that's being accomplished right now through the internet. For he hath weighed the world in the balance, right? Similar to on a small scale, what he said to Belshazzar. You have been weighed and have been found wanting. So the world has been weighed in a balance. And there was a set time that the Lord set up for each empire to rule. And that's why the prophecy in Daniel the 2nd chapter and Daniel the 2nd chapter and Daniel the 7th chapter are important, because they identify these 4 major empires. And then the 4th empire would fall and then rise back up. And that's what most did not understand, the falling and rising back up of that 4th empire, which would be the Roman Empire, which we're in right now, the last leg of it. It says, by measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times, and he does not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Right. That's why it says, wake not my love till he please. And so when we start seeing these major prophecies speaking, like the MOTB, World War III, just to name some, then we know that it's the time when the Most High is rising up to America, to this present evil world, to destroy it, because it's that time. And the only way that Yahweh Bashem El Shai's kingdom / our kingdom can come is this present evil world has to be destroyed, moved out of the way, and then the new kingdom will be established. Matter of fact, let's go to 2 Peter chapter 3. And this whole chapter is a bad chapter. It says a whole lot. I'll start at 12. Because this world is going to be destroyed by fire, nuclear fire. 2 Peter 3 and 12. Looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of the Most High, wherein the heavens, being on fire, shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, because this is the lake of fire that the Lord said would destroy this place. The lake of fire would be the second death, all right, according to the book of Revelation. So verse 13, it says, nevertheless, we, according to his promise, where in the Old Testament, in the book of, I believe that's Isaiah 66, look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. So we know it's not talking about a whole brand new earth and brand new heavens, because we read that the earth abideth forever. Means that it's going to be under new management. It's going to be refreshed. It's going to be renewed, you know, and the destruction is going to be the beginning process of that, you know. Then after that, you know, when the elect come down from the chariots, you know, and go around gathering these heathens, these nations, and putting them in captivity, that begins the next phase. Because the next phase is rebuilding and re-educating, so to speak. You know, even though, you know, the word educate means to draw out, but, you know, rebuilding and establishing the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashem El Shai upon these heathen nations. All right. So that cannot come. We cannot enjoy this right here in the book of Psalms, the 149th chapter, and the 5th verse. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. We cannot begin to enjoy that until this present world is destroyed and the kingdom is established. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand. So what is a two-edged sword? It's a killing instrument. What for? To execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. See? So that part of the reward cannot be fulfilled until this present evil world goes down. To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. Right, your kings would be your so-called international banking families, the super rich, your Donald Trumps and your Vances and your Bidens and Kamala Harris and all the senators and congressmen, mayors. Those are little guys. They're janitors in comparison to the super rich. Then you got your Jeff Bezos and your Elon Musk and your Bill Gates and all that. That's like the Elder Pastor always says, middle management. All right. But your presidents, congressmen, those are janitors. Those are the janitors of the international banking families. So we won't be able to slap chains on them and fetters of iron until this present world goes down. Because do you think that the Rothschild, all this money they got, the Rockefellers and different other, you know, super rich families are going to come and allow us to put chains on them and fetters of iron on them right now when they're in power? They're not going to do that, because they're not going to want to give up the spot. You know, even when Yahweh Shai comes back, he going to have to take it from them. So they're going to fight. They're going to be afraid. The Lord going to put the spirit in them to fight, but nevertheless, they're going to fight to try to keep this, just like they're trying to fight right now to keep that plantation Christianity alive by coming up against the Hebrew Israelites. You see? So it says, to execute upon them the judgment written, this honor have all his saints, praise ye the Lord, Yahweh Bashem El Shai. And that cannot happen or be established until this present evil world is destroyed, until Esau's world is destroyed. You know? So when Esau's world goes down, our world begins underneath Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.